Hey, folks, it is March the 25th, and we're going over the last chapters we're going to go over in this book. That's chapters 141 and 142, which goes a little bit over what's going on in England after the Glorious Revolution. And then during the same time period, we're going to talk about what goes on in France, culminating with Louis the 14th. And the students in the class are discussing it. They're about to help us with the definitions and all that good stuff.
You don't want me. And then go back. He literally asks that every single time. We know what kind of charity he's on.
I was like, maybe just a little bit.
Super straight.
Well, you were sharing. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I didn't hear about that.
Okay, we need to find me to write
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Here we go. All the first newspaper here.
No.
I don't know, I just have to.
the first newspaper came
My coffee.
I packed him some bird talking. No.
What?
Hey, there he is.
When?
All
right, kids. I'll show you what's the big to-do.
In weekly edition.
All right, so hey, let's go ahead and discuss it real quick. So I'm going to skip over the industrial part because when we talk about the PowerPoints I'm going to have for you, we're going to talk a little bit about how science is going to change how agriculture works. They're going to go away from a lot of these medieval ideas of medicine and agriculture. No. I mean, I'm not going to talk about it here. You know what I'm saying? And agriculture, the ideas of industry and stuff. Where are people's parts in the workforce? What do they work for? Property and stuff like that. The literature. Remember, we discussed how the King James Version of the Bible is going to be written. You're going to have, during this period, a lot of the great works of English literature are going to have very strong religious bent, such as Pilgrim's Progress, and also John Milton's Paradise Lost, which is essentially like Paradise Lost is the story of where John Milton takes the story of the fall of Adam and Eve, but he makes an epic poem out of it, much like Homer did with the Iliad and the Odyssey. So it has a story which precedes it a little bit too, which is based on Christian tradition, but not in the Bible, such as the fall of Satan from heaven and his battle against Michael the Archangel and God's angels, being cast into hell, where him and his fallen angels eventually become deformed and build their capital city known as Pandemonium, where things such as Milton describes how the embodiment of sin and death in the form of physical creatures come onto the earth, where Adam and Eve are tempted to fall from grace and essentially be thrown out of paradise. Which, I mean, I'm sure, Christian or not, you've all heard the story about Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, eating the forbidden fruit of knowledge to become like God and being cast out. And so it's a pretty good read. It's pretty entertaining, even at face value, but it has a lot of good lessons in it as well. So Cardinal Richelieu. So even though he was a man of religious training, he was in position, he did not live that way. He was more of a diplomat and a great schemer and a general. And because of him, he's able to use the French military and bribes and treaties and things like that to have France's enemies fight one another in order to strengthen the crown, the French crown. He's also going to do a lot of steps to completely defang all of the nobles within France. He's going to ban them from having armies, which was known as like coat of arms. Like if you ever see like a shield and it has like an emblem on it, like a lion or an eagle or something like that, that's a coat of arms. In medieval tradition, if you had a coat of arms, you were legally allowed to raise your own army. And so he's going to ban those, ban jousting, and nobles, many of them are going to have their estates taken from them. And the only way that they can live like nobility is to live on the king's property at the behest of the king. So the king feeds them, clothes them, entertains them. They basically, it's almost like royal welfare in a way. But it's going to ensure Louis XIII is going to be the only person with any real political power. Remember, they had their parliament, the Estates General, was not called in for a long time. Nobody cared. The judges all got their jobs from the king, so they did whatever he said. And the nobility was no more. So they were still around. They had titles. They didn't have to pay taxes, but otherwise they couldn't do anything against the king. Moving on to the next generation, you're going to have Richelieu's position taken by somebody who's going to do the exact same thing, Cardinal Mazarin. And he's going to help prop up this guy here, Louis XIV, known as the Sun King, because he was so popular and so idolized by the French that people would actually pay to go into his bedchamber and watch him wake up every morning. Like people would actually pay to do that. He's famously quoted for saying, "I am the state," like I am the government. We're not sure if he really said that or not, but he really was. He believed that he was appointed by God himself to be in this position, and that anything he said carried the weight of absolute law. He's going to be known for having extremely expensive, extravagant courts. There's going to be a lot of spending and a lot of high taxes as well. And these high taxes and this high spending is going to be one of the things that's going to radicalize the court to make them want to overthrow their king later on. So it's during his time that you're going to see the building of massive, beautiful palaces. They're going to have a lot of big operas, zoos, parks, all these things. It's not for the public. It's for the nobility that he entertains and also for guests. So, of course, today a lot of these are turned into museums such as the Louvre or public places for tourism. But yeah.
I've been there.
Really? You've been to Paris? See, I was invited to go to Paris, but I was like, what am I going to do there? So I didn't go.
What am I gonna do there?
I don't know. When I was a young man and I lived in Italy, I didn't really care about stuff. So
You lived in Italy?
yeah, I was in the army. I was in Italy for about a little over 2 years. I spent a lot of time in Germany too. Cool stuff. But yeah, I mean, look at this. Look at all this gold and ivory and art and marble. That's super expensive. Just looking at the material costs, not to mention that the cost of art and then the added value of cultural history and all these other things. Like these are priceless things. However, during this time period in France, the peasantry was really peasantry. Like they were more poor than most peasants were in a lot of the rest of Europe. There were some parts of France that were so backwards. Yeah, there were some parts of France where people were still like in the Middle Ages, you know, so it was really lopsided how people's lives were set. And so that's just how it was. Everything gravitated towards that central king, and he dispensed it to his buddies. Everybody else, dirt poor. All right, so once again, we have English industry, English literature, Breitflug, Cardinal Mazarin, and Louis XIV. So let's go ahead and let's start from the top because, you know, why not? Oh, I gotta finish making that stuff for next period.
Coal or cool?
Call.
Yeah, you just take the char out of it. It's called-
Yes, it's like, it's air. That's it.
Let's see here. All right, so English industry, coal becomes more popular than charcoal. Now, here's the thing. Charcoal is made from like you take wood and you burn it down until it's a fuel, right? It's not very efficient and it uses a lot of energy to make it, and then it doesn't provide that much heat. Coal is mined from the earth, and coal can do things like help smelt iron into steel more efficiently. It's better at heating things, and also steam power, that's going to be coming. The first newspaper came out in weekly edition, so there were broadsides and news, but now weekly news. People are becoming informed subjects of the English crown, right? So, county ends, so yeah, then all of industries. And yeah, a lot of industries were upgraded, right? So you're going to have like, it's going to move away from what we call cottage industries, where people just make stuff in their house and try to sell it, to factory systems. We'll talk about that later. All right. English literature. So we know they could read somewhat. So what did they read and write that was kind of some of the big deals? I know it's not like all encompassing, but so.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Amen.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of words.
Did you write in my little space?
Just a little bit. Oh my, you couldn't have walked.
Right.
You
No,
couldn't
I
have-
couldn't, there's a box right there.
Okay, well, you could have moved it on down. Is that bacon or just pecan? Subway. I don't know.
Bacon. Bacon?
Ah,
Bacon? Ew. The person.
Oh.
Don't eat people.
Bacon.
It's probably not good for you anyway.
how do you?
This is Shakespeare. This is really good.
Country.
Wait, someone say country?
It's fun. And then, like, is it- and then we like.
Somebody say country?
So soft. It's getting stuck.
Want this cat.
Sorry, no.
Alright, you hold it and we'll pull. Ready? You gotta hold it.
I'm gonna write a message to Zoe.
Shakespeare bacon.
Bacon?
Bacon. Bacon wrapped bacon.
You gotta have bacon wrapped bacon stuffed in chicken.
I agree.
Wrap the
Bacon and bacon.
with bacon.
And stuffed chicken with duck.
Don't forget the deer.
Duck with bacon. I ain't there yet. I ain't there yet. You stuff with duck with turkey, like bacon, bacon.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh wait, don't forget the
That's a
bacon
lot
on the
of
side.
wood. Right.
Like grease,
I know that's what I call a whole week to cook.
the salt.
And it took about 10 years off your life, so.
Right.
All right, English literature, Shakespeare, Bacon, authorized version of the Bible, King James Version. John Milton wrote Paradise Lost. John Bunyan wrote Pilgrim's Progress. That's on my reading list. I haven't read that one yet, but I was told that's a good one to read, Pilgrim's Progress. All right, so very good. Next one, we've heard a little bit about it. Let's hear a little bit more.
Ow. You're fine. Mentally or physically?
R1.
Oh, I should have that over with. He's turned around here.
When is this coming
Do I
out?
need to write a message or Ariel?
Let
Let me write
She's
Ariel.
gonna put it in again.
I can make it.
I got the same hair, same hair weight, right?
So how do you get a message?
That's a bad.
We go and you can see it.
Are you passing your love
And then
to
go
me?
to the other side.
Yeah.
Yes, I do it. You told her she what? She progressing her love to me.
Yes, this is me confessing my true love for Ariel.
She'd be like, I hate you.
Oh, why'd I close that?
Oh, no. Stop, Melody. Melody, do it.
You have to make us
I don't think I'm ever gonna get you guys
This is
going
me
yet.
confessing my love for Ariel.
I gave you gum.
I'm
I
curious.
I had to take her 40
What is
days.
that?
2 days.
I had a whole thing of juicy fruit. And I gave you all the and no, I didn't give you one.
There's that.
Can we write
I
a
was
word
giving
message?
you Milky Way when I first came here.
I don't know, sorry about that.
9 months.
9 months ago. Yeah.
Somebody could have had bacon.
What?
I got it.
That was 9 months ago. Somebody could have had bacon.
Oh my God, it was like 2 months ago.
Like, after. It's like, hey, I thought this was a just.
All right, Lou. Chief minister to the king, governs France as a foreign and domestic policy through foreign and domestic policy. Fought the nobles, died in 1642. Brilliant. So, all right, next one. Hey, what about like the guy after him, Mazarin?
Maybe.
I thought that was a you. We'll call Sean a girl.
It's Mazarin.
Oh, I spelled that wrong.
Can you see that just because I don't have my glasses on?
It's
You can do it.
Good pen.
The horse
It
always
kind of
messed
breaks
me
me
up.
when I
when I
go
ride.
to try.
Sorry, Charlie.
It kind of breaks me.
Take some good use too.
Hey, this smells good.
Italian, yep.
Italian. It's like a string.
I don't like people
That-
touch your. You bite it off.
Ooh. Oh, I thought the feather was part of the nail.
Ugh. It is.
I feel like somebody will
I'm
wander
gonna say
away.
Ariel.
I wanted.
Hey, that's nice.
Where's your recipe again?
Oh my God, just do it, Shelby.
I'm thinking the one for rice.
Logan, is that word, is it religious or righteous?
Oh,
Looks like religious.
oh,
Religious?
Raculis. Raculis
Okay.
policies, Raculis policies.
Yeah, right loose, like the guy above, see the red name up there. So yeah, it was all about making the king super strong at everybody else's cost. Just so you know. Yeah, so he was born Italian, became naturalized French, carried out Reclus policy. So he's basically Reclus' replacement, but he did a good job keeping him up because Louis XIV was a lot more powerful than Louis XIII. So, and this is going to be the height of the French monarchy. All right, last but not least,
I thought I did really nice. I thought I did really nice.
all right,
So remember that.
this is the last term from the last chapter of the book. It's your honor.
Yay. This is your mayor time. Oh, this is what you can use for your phones and stuff.
That's where we have
What?
What if this is my shoe?
That's what you said.
I can say.
Well, you can use
the
it.
demons. The demons.
I know, I have to do the string.
Like, girl.
Yeah, oh.
He was. This song is not good at all.
What?
I don't like it. Why do you think? Well, I think it's so funny. You'll see. You'll know when you hear it.
Yeah, King Louis XIV, King of France for 18 years, 1624, 1642. He thought that he was the state, high tax on the poor. So people wanted to limit the power of the king. Well, I mean, yeah, like in a couple of kings later, yeah. Well, we're not there yet. Yeah, the French Revolution isn't going to be until Yeah, it's gonna be like 17. It's after ours, like 1789, I think. I might be wrong. I'm terrible. Terrible. With dates. Hey, thing is, I think your date on Louis the 14th isn't factually actually correct. I don't know where you got the date from, but yeah, he's. I thought he was. Let me see. I think you wrote down King Louis the 13th's years. Yeah, he's going to be 42 to something else. He's going to be king from 42 to 61.
I did mess up.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, you can fix it. So just switch it over 42 to 61, and it will be good. And hey, that's going to cut it for today, kids. I'll post the notes online, and see you later.
We have 4 minutes left.
I'm sorry. I would have gave you more, but it's